Welcome back to Marvel Puzzle Quest with me, P.I. McLeod. We're sitting at day 3,798. You would think round numbers like 3,800 would do something. Nope, it's all an algorithm. If you didn't know, a little tip for the day. It's not. If you didn't know, it's not it's not like the developers sit there and pick out days that things happen on. It's like there's a set mathematical algorithm everything runs on. Like every 7 days is a heroic token, for example, or every X amount of days you get a 4-star cover, and you get the point. Everything's set to a pattern. So yeah, that's how it works. It gets a little, kind of takes some of the luster out of getting these resupply rewards when you really sit down and think about it. But at the same time, I also don't get to figure out when they implement changes and stuff like that, so it's kind of fun to sit here at the forefront of the line and see what new changes are coming down the line for resupplies, when they rarely happen. Anyways, oh, hello, 5-star martyr. You dodged so many bullets last pull session, but it's okay, we're not here for you. We are here to crash a Titan. I said, crash Titan. Jeez. You'd think it would listen to a click. We only got one node to run for it today, nice and easy, but of course, with every P.I. McLeod version of crashing a Titan, it comes with a history lesson. 4-star Thanos. We've been over him a couple times, but hey, this is, we gotta, give credit where credit's due. 4-star Thanos was one of the few characters that came, well, I shouldn't say few, that's not fair. He's one of the many characters that came in after the Rocket and Groot / Kitty era was running rampant on everyone. There's always a high top tier meta at play. Certain teams always stronger than other teams, right? Thanos was once considered a tiny stopgap solution to some of it. Mainly because of his passive that says, hey, if there's so many enemy tiles on the board, he's going to passively, on start of his turn, remove one of them. Not destroy, not match or something like that, but remove one of those tiles, create a bunch of green tiles, and do some, well, actually, I think that was it. I was going to say do some damage, but I don't think that's it. It's just the removing a tile and then making some greens, which is, sometimes leads to matches and stuff. He likes doing that because obviously his green is a big old board shake, and it's a very reliable board shake. It can shake up to half the board, aka 32 tiles. So that kind of hurt Rocket and Groot players a little bit, but not too much to really care. If we're gonna be honest about it, even though this was considered to be a minor solution to that problem, he wasn't enough. Removing one of the 7 Rocket and Groot strikes that gets created at start just meant that there was just a little more edge in your favor, but come on, there's still 6 more out there, if not more, because you don't know what else there was going on in that team. It was a hard team to fight at the time. They had to implement more solutions. Obviously, Polaris was a really good one at the time, until they finally just kind of went all whole hog on it and just said, hey, here's 4-star Doc Ock. Hey, here's Morbius. Or here's, certain other characters like Moondragon, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain characters really, really hurt them more. Gorg, especially. Jesus. Thanos was just like tiptoeing into the water before MPQ just said, oh, that's right. Let's just create a whole solution in one character. Anyways, that's his blue passive. His green is the big board shake. Does some good damage. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it. And then finally his black is just a nuke. And honestly, it's probably the least impressive part of his kit. It does some damage and more damage to any heroes on the team. So, whoop-de-doo. It's honestly probably the least impressive part. But hey, we get to go and fight against that. And we're probably going to use a hero because I don't see any reason why they would put the black at 5. Yup, Moondragon. I didn't say her, like accidentally or anything, but at the same time, I don't peek ahead at these things, so it was kind of cool to say that tongue-in-cheek correctly. I'm going to remove some of these boosts. I was just kicking some butt in PvP earlier, which is rare for me. Don't think I do that as a regular. Moondragon is a pretty recent addition to MPQ. Actually very recent as the times go. She is one of the few characters in the game that loves to create and play with enemy tiles. And when I say play with enemy tiles, I mean like she can make them and use them to your advantage. It's one of those things where like if you're going against certain characters like Caecilius, for example, that boss, or someone who just, if you're using puzzle gauntlet tactics and you're trying to make and kill more enemy projectiles, Moondragon should be a character that comes to mind. Here's why. Mainly this yellow, Moonlight Dispersal. Not the active. The active is nice, but let's look at that passive. At the start of the turn, randomly convert any enemy strike attack projectiles in excess of 4, or at lower levels 5 and 6. Well, it's just 5. That's right. I thought it was 6. Yeah, it's 6 down here at 1 and 2. Anyways, you randomly convert any enemy and strike attack projectiles in excess of that number, giving your team a burst of health and dealing damage to the enemy for each tile converted. That's pretty cool. Why is that important? Well, because if you look at her active, for only a measly 5 yellow, you divide each enemy strike, attack, and projectile in half, creating a new tile of that type. And if none exist, you create 6 1 strength enemy projectiles instead. So that's a really easy way to make a bunch of enemy protects out there on the board and to utilize them. Obviously, you should think of certain characters that could make use of this. Rhino, for example. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering here. Medusa is a good one just to get enemy AP out of. You could use Electra and then punish it with purple and steal them. There's plenty of things you could do. And Eddie Brock would sit there and say, oh, there's a lot of enemy protects out there. Cool, now my yellow is going to hit like a semi. There's ways to abuse this for sure. Now beyond that is her purple, which I have it at 3, but honestly it's just because, it's not because it's bad, it's just, theoretically I should have the red at lower levels, but I kind of like the passive of the red. Let me just explain. Her purple, for 7 purple AP, you get a 4-turn countdown. While it's on the board, if it's maxed out, enemy strike, attack, and projectile strength are reduced by 75%. Obviously at level 3, it's reduced by 40%. When the tile expires or is destroyed, in other words, a match 4 can go right through it and destroy it. Not matched. If you notice, it doesn't say anything about matched. It has to be destroyed or expired for this to work. Moondragon deals 2898 damage and uses Moonlight Dispersal. As a passive, if Moondragon is to take damage, a random ally takes that damage instead. In other words, she doesn't take hits like when there's anyone else around. And this is for all damage, not just matches. This is powers and everything. She will die last as best as she can. A random ally takes that damage instead. If Pyrrhic defense countdown tile exists, damage is increased by 50%. So it kind of sucks. Like, if you think about it, let's say you put this countdown out there, right? And because you're going to take advantage of this enemy strike, attack, projectile strength reducing, and you're going to get another extra Moonlight Dispersal out of this, right? It's a really good ability for that purpose. But while it's out there, all of a sudden, all the damage coming in against Moondragon is increased 50%, which means it then gets shifted to her allies because she can't take damage until they're gone. It's a little bit of a catch-22, or maybe that's not the right term for it, but it's not the most positive spin on things you could take. But it's still good. It's just, there's an edge to worry about. And finally, there's the Titanium Martial Arts. It's only 5 red, nice and cheap. You just destroy the bottom row of tiles. You don't get any AP. You don't deal damage with them. Because the tiles all fall together, you don't know what the top row is going to be. There's really no board shake in this. This ability is only good for destroying the bottom row. Now, do you remember what we said earlier about Pyrrhic defense? If you destroy that tile, that thing happens with Moonlight Dispersal, right? So an easy thing to do is to put your Pyrrhic defense in the bottom row, then cast your Titanium Martial Arts on the bottom row. You get your bonus out of it, right? Anyways, as a passive, She takes 50% reduced match damage and deals the amount reduced back to the enemy, plus 25% for each enemy strike, attack, or protect on the board. Her match damage is increased by 25% for each strike, attack, or protect on the board. She's actually pretty good by herself, but just because of this alone, not to mention her yellow putting out extra tiles, extra enemy tiles, and she can use those enemy tiles in excess of a certain number to heal herself and do more damage. She is not a bad character whatsoever. Because of the fact that she is the last man standing, and in this day and age, we have a lot of big tanks out there. I've been throwing this Deadpool on her, this support, mainly because of the fact that it says at the start of the turn, if one doesn't exist, create a 3-turn Deadpool countdown tile targeting the character with the lowest health. It can be her sometimes, you know that, right? The tile's target takes 40% increased damage if it's an enemy and 60% reduced damage if it's an ally. In other words, sometimes she could be even harder to kill because of this. At rank 3, when the Deadpool countdown tile expires, it deals 10% damage to its target if it's an enemy, or gives a burst of 10% health if it's an ally. Once that's done, look back at rank 1. If one doesn't exist, create a 3-turn Deadpool countdown tile. Okay, you get the point. It rinses and repeats itself pretty often, and I think it fits her. I think it works good with her. It's not, obviously she's not a mercenary. It doesn't get that buff for it, but I feel like this is a good use. If you have other uses, other supports you like to use with Moondragon, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'm really happy to look over them, and we can learn from each other. Anyways, without further ado, there is a further ado. Animations. It's a one-on-one fight. That's how this channel works. It is. You can look it up in the bylaws. Maybe I should write bylaws. Anyways, ready? One-on-one. Moondragon versus Thanos. Fight. Let's see. I know this music I choose isn't necessarily like fight music, but it's something. Let's create some enemy tiles for him to play with. Or for us to play with. Something like that. So since he has more health than me, this thing is targeting me. 60% reduced damage. I'm pretty sure we're in good hands right now. Watch this hit. It does less. You can see the number floating up. Like it does the number of damage, but then the number that floats up is actually substantially less. I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. I could cast her yellow now. Probably shouldn't I? Here we go. Now, here's the fun thing. I made 6 of these tiles, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I cast it again, it'll turn to 12 because it divides them in half. That's a lot of enemy tiles. Now remember, at the start of the turn, it's going to convert any excess beyond 4, giving me some health and dealing damage to the enemy for each tile converted. He's not going to like this. I'm going to take this red just so we can see the animation before our time is through here, because I'm pretty sure this is going to hurt him. Look at that. And look at that healing we just got. Now, when the Deadpool tile comes back, it's going to be in our favor again, but this time for damage. Let's hit this just for the animation. No animation? That's no fun. I kind of forgot that I had no animation. I really thought it did. You would think something that's titled Titanian Martial Arts would have like some sort of hi-ya. Be as sticky as you want to give us an animation. Like, I know we all turn them off, but at the same time, if I turn them on, I want to see something cool. I want more purple to see that animation before our time is through here. I mean, before he dies. Something like that. You see the extra damage we're doing now due to that Deadpool thing? Aw, he hurt us. That's not fun. I could cast this now, but I don't think it'll do anything for us. I just want the purples. You know, I think I will do it, if only just to move things down a row. Oh, there's the purple. That was the reason. I wanted to see if it could bring some purples in, and it did. Here we go, Pyrrhic Defense. Choose a tile. We're going to choose one down here just in case we get another red to cast. Animations aren't too bad, at least the two that we have. Yes, I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek. Developers, for shame, leaving us without one of them. I'll take that red. Okay, more damage to him just because the Deadpool countdown went off. Now we get to cast this red again, and it's going to destroy that bottom tile. That Pyrrhic Defense is going to go away, but in the best way. See, we cast a bunch. We got a bunch more tiles out there now. Her abilities might look like long-winded and convoluted, but honestly, she's a pretty solid character. I feel like she works well with certain other characters that are good at, like, if you're planning on someone to tank. Let's just put it that way. For example, I like her, if we're talking 4-star teams here, I like her with Abomination. Because as long as you get Abomination to actually tank for you, he can die and then just come right back to life. And obviously that suits Moondragon just well, because she'll just sit behind him all day just supporting. So, anyways, that was Moondragon's Crash of the Titans. Good stuff today. I like a little bit of history lesson. I like a newer character like that being involved, because honestly, we've talked about the old characters a bunch. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in and watching today. I appreciate it. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day to those of you that celebrate, and be safe out there. If you are going out and drinking, be responsible about it. I know I will be. You'll catch me out and about if you're lucky. Talk to you guys later. See ya.